Tracking horseshoe crabs. There's a lot of mystery surrounding these animals, which scientists say are more closely related to spiders than they are to crabs. The number of some horseshoe crab species is unknown. Others are either vulnerable or endangered. So scientists in Hong Kong have been tagging them and then releasing them into a nearby bay in an effort to learn how, when, and where they move, how they behave, what their breeding patterns are, what threatens them, and how they might survive and respond to environmental changes. I'm Azuz. Welcome to the world from A to Z. Water is a sort of theme you'll see in today's show. For one thing, there's a shortage of it in the capital of Mexico. Some residents there are breaking the law, scooping it out of an underground reservoir because it's not flowing into their homes. Others are buying it or recycling it, using dirty dishwater to fill and flush toilets. Years of drought have taken a toll on Mexico City. All of its 21 million plus residents have been impacted, and the rainy season is still months away, meaning the problem isn't expected to get better anytime soon.
Mexico's capital gets its water from two sources: a system of reservoirs known as Cutzamala and underground aquifers.
En ese momento hay un promedio de 35-36% de almacenamiento.
Raúl Rodríguez Márquez, director of the Consejo Consultivo del Agua, a civic organization promoting water conservation, says the reservoirs are at historic low levels, well below 40% capacity, and the aquifers are over-extracted. Part of the problem has been drier than normal rain season that typically run from May to August. And experts say the situation can worsen for the city built over a lake bed before the Spaniards arrived 5 centuries ago. Some experts warn the city could run out of water this summer on what it's been called Day Zero. Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador dismissed those claims, calling them an attempt from the opposition to influence the presidential election in June, and said his government is working to get more water to the city.
Está garantizado.
The city's mayor assured residents that the water supply is guaranteed. But frustrated residents have taken to the streets in protest, and many neighborhoods depend on water delivered by trucks. Some paid by the government, many paid by local residents. But the lack of rain is not the only reason experts say Mexico City is suffering from water shortages. A study by Universidad Autónoma de México shows that 40% of the water supply is lost due to leaks, some because of breakage of pipes during the frequent earthquakes, some because the city still relies on pipes over 100 years old.
No ha sido una prioridad.
Rodríguez Márquez says that instead of investing to improve the infrastructure, the money spent on water projects has decreased for many years. We contacted CONAGUA, Mexico's national water management agency, and they declined our request for an interview. They also declined to answer the written questions we submitted about the water supply levels and the state of the infrastructure. For now, the government will continue to ration distribution and continues to call on its citizens to conserve the precious liquid, forcing residents to patiently wait for water to come their way or get what they need wherever they can.
On this date in world history. Chile's worst earthquake in 50 years struck on this date in 2010. The quake, measuring magnitude 8.8, was centered just off the nation's west coast, killing more than 500 people, injuring thousands, and triggering tsunami warnings as far away as New Zealand. U.S. presidential term limits were made official on this date in 1951. The Constitution's 22nd Amendment stated a president could only have 2 terms in office, though few had ever tried running a third time. Only Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected more than twice, serving for 12 years during and after the Great Depression. And New Orleans put on what's considered to be its first Mardi Gras celebration on this date in 1827. Students donned costumes and danced their way through the streets on Fat Tuesday, the day before the start of the season of Lent. Mardi Gras became a formal celebration years later and attracts hundreds of thousands of partygoers.
Americans are ready for spring and a break.
People are ready to take advantage of school closures and get out of cold climates and go find some warmth.
In addition to sun and fun, Christy Hudson of Expedia says they've found different destinations trending for spring 2024.
Not only are people headed to the kind of typical spring break destinations, but there's also a major event happening during the spring break window.
A total solar eclipse is set to cross North America on April 8th, and U.S. cities within the path of totality like Dallas, Indianapolis, even Cleveland expect a boost during a busy time.
That is the busiest and priciest time to fly during the spring season. You can get better rates by flying at the very beginning of March or the very end of April.
Going.com travel expert Katie Nastro also recommends to look for best fares now.
You want to just make sure you're doing yourself a favor and just circling 21 days out from when you're looking to fly as your absolute book buy date.
World knowledge. What do California, Puerto Rico, and Hawaii have in common? Are they all former Mexican territories, Pacific states, coffee growers, tropical? These are the only 3 places in the United States where coffee is grown commercially, though Florida is also looking at getting involved.
Visitors to the Aloha state of Hawaii could soon be facing what's been called a climate tax, a green fee, a climate fee, or a transient accommodation tax, in part because millions more people visit the islands each year than the number who actually live there year-round.
Hawaiian lawmakers are considering a tourist tax. 9 to 10 million visit each year, according to Hawaii's governor, drawn by sites like Wailua Falls, tucked away in the lush mountains of Kauai, or active volcanoes. Also, of course, Hawaii's beaches and famous surf. And that's just above the water. But tourism can take a toll on all this beauty, and taking care of Hawaii's natural paradise requires time, people, and money. The population of 1.4 million locals want the millions of tourists who enjoy their land to help foot the bill. In a video posted to Twitter, Governor Josh Green explains how a visitor impact fee would be used.
Preserving and restoring our coral reefs, helping our forests and watersheds, dealing with invasive species, recovering endangered wildlife populations, funding basically our most important organizations that protect the environment.
In the past decade, hiking has gone up 50%, largely due to social media. And Hawaii simply doesn't have the money to manage these more remote places. But many legislators fear this would violate the U.S. Constitution's protection of free travel between states.
The latest proposed fee would be $25 per person in addition to other taxes that are already in place. Officials estimate this would bring in about $68 million more per year to Hawaii, which officials say would be used to help the environment and prevent wildfires. Tourism is the state's biggest industry, and critics say more fees could equal fewer visitors or people spending less once they got to the Pacific state. There are also concerns about whether the fee would impact Hawaii's residents who want to stay at a hotel. The bill does appear to be advancing through Hawaii's state government. Where is where? That's not a philosophical question. The town of Ware is where we're going to shout out Mr. Ventangeli's class. Hello to Ware Junior Senior High School in the Bay State of Massachusetts. Next to Big Sky Country, we're happy to have Mr. Epperly's class watching at Kalispell Middle School. It's in the city of Kalispell, Montana. For today's What in the World report, splash. It's summertime in New Zealand, and a popular thing to do there, wherever there's water, is to dive bomb into it. This type of maneuver is called the Manu, and this event is the Manu World Championships. Participants plop into the water lower back first with their arms and legs stretched out. The point of a Manu dive is to create the biggest splash possible, and the prize, more than $18,000. It looks kind of painful and maybe a little fun too, and it bathing suits everyone who goes Manu a Manu in a spacement for displacement from platforms to flooded basements, from platforms to stretched out placements, avoiding faceplants. It's true, there's nothing harder than water. Splashes taller and shorter made to order, breaking borders, waves are made and plungers thrive, getting cash for going crash, getting paid for taking dives. I'm Carl Azuz, and I'm diving back into the world from A to Z tomorrow, and I hope you'll be in the swim. You mean the world to me.